Hello, hello, my Soulpreneur Life family and friends. Today we are here to talk about your brand story, and we have Miss Dhylles here. Hello, hello. How are
Hello,
you?
hello. Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I know that we were kind of chit-chatting a little bit before we started our podcast, but I just want to bring our listeners in and welcome them to the conversation about who you are and how you went on this journey of kind of exploring the power of
hmm
storytelling and your brand and the evolution of that. Would you care to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Who am I? That's a loaded question.
Load it, load it. Pick it up where it's comfortable. It doesn't have to be anything formal.
Oh, no, no, no. Dhylles Victoria here. I am a unconventional branding coach, and I help creatives, unicorns that have like pretty much just reached a level of success, and they're craving something different, something new when it comes to telling their story to connect with their audience on a deeper level. So I just help them to bring forth the uniqueness about them to their core, who they are to their core, and just flip that into brand story and brand messaging so that they can stand out from the crowd. So
That's
that's what I do.
Yeah, that's so special too. And I know I talked your head off the last time we talked about how I love storytelling and I love the lyrics and music and all that because it invokes something emotional in us, right? Where we can say,
Yes,
this is me, this is my thing, or this is my person, or they're speaking to my heart or my soul. So
right.
what you're doing is so magical because
hmm
no matter what your niche, we all need storytelling, whether it's
Yeah,
Nike or yeah.
yeah.
So
And I think with storytelling too, it gives your clients or potential clients an opportunity to get to know who you are and how you started out and the journey in between and why you're doing what you're doing. And it actually gives an opportunity to experience that you have their best interest at heart if they come to work with you
yeah.
because you're being vulnerable.
Being human, right?
Yep.
I think about the people that we kind of fall in love with that are like in the media or influencer or whatever. And a lot of times they follow that roadmap, like you're saying, like they pull us in with their realness, with their authenticity and all of that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about your story and how that kind of evolved into your coaching business and how you help other people and things of that now? Would you be okay?
Sure. I feel like I've been an entrepreneur my whole entire life, to be honest with you. Because
Yeah.
I remember going to high school in Belize. I actually coordinated the high school prom because no one else wanted to do it. And I used to teach dance, and I was a peer mediator and things like that. So I've always had the entrepreneur spirit.
Yeah.
And fast forward to 2010, I was just like, I think I want to be a plus size model. So I would go to all these casting calls to get told you're too fat, or you're too short and you're not this, that, da, 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 da. So I
Mhm.
was like, screw it, I'm just gonna create my own fashion production company.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did, and it was geared to women of all shapes, heights, and sizes. And as the women came to the casting calls, I found myself sharing my story with them and empowering them and coaching them and giving them the encouragement to get on the runway.
Yeah.
And so that's how that started with storytelling.
I can think of, oh my gosh, I love that for so many different reasons. And I think with certain personalities too, when we care about people, storytelling
hmm
is natural and it like lights us up, right?
Yep.
So it takes a moment for us to even realize what we're doing because it's so natural for us to just be that encourager, be that nurturer, or kind of light, I guess you can call it, right?
Yep.
So
So I found myself doing that, and I'm self-taught when it comes to a lot of things. So I'm a self-taught branding person, self-taught marketer, self-taught, self-published author.
mhm.
I've published 4 books, and everything that I've done so far is just research, research, trial and error, fall, get your ass up, bust your ass again, get up again.
Yes,
So
yes.
I'm an I'm an avid learner. So everything that I've done in my life is self-taught because I feel like if I don't do it, if I don't go through the process, then how can I teach another person how to do it?
Yeah, I I resonate with that too. A lot of what I've done in everything, even when I was in the military, it's like you go, you try, you fail, and you learn what not to do, and you just implement
Yep.
that as you move forward.
Yep.
Mm,
Same.
yeah, and when we have that kind of personality, and I've been transparent about this, I don't know if it was just ignorance or what it was, but for a lot of my life, because it was in survival mode, I didn't realize that I could quit. It
Yep.
was just, I came into a problem, I met a hurdle, and I said, okay, this doorway said no, so let me find another doorway, let me find a workaround. It was never like, let me sit and wallow, right? Um, or like, let me just quit. Like, I didn't realize that quitting was an option. So, like you, I totally understand like the self-taught kind of mentality, if that's what the proper word
Yeah.
for it, mentality, because it's like you don't wait for someone to come rescue you. You get told no, and you're like, okay, well, let me figure it out. This didn't work, so
Yeah.
let me try this, right?
Mm-hmm. And
And
because
we
I'm an
learn,
outside, you do learn. For
yeah,
me, it's like, I don't know if it's the same with you, but I'm like an outside of the box thinker. Like I always ask myself, what sets me apart from everyone else? Like, how can I stand out from the crowd? Like, what is that formula, method, strategy that I can do that no one else is doing, but it's a need? I always ask myself that question. So that's the questions that I ask my clients when I start working with them so I can actually make their brand story so magical and effective and creative in a way that no one's ever heard it told before.
yeah. I love that you think about it like that. So maybe this is the Capricorn in me. So like when I approach things, no, I love it. I love it because I know you're an Aquarius, right? Like really
I
creative.
am.
Okay. So my first approach to things is, okay, what is the system already in place? Is it working?
Mm-hmm.
And I like
Mm-hmm.
to observe, is it working? What is happening? And then like I like to either improve it or totally revamp it from there because I can learn this is not working and this is not working because of this, right? And I
Yep.
know with how you're kind of laying it out, how I'm receiving it, it's just like you can create out of thin air, which I love, right?
Yep.
For me, I like to see first what is going on and then I can create. Like, but I need that spark. I need that spark
Yep.
or that thing to kind of see what's going on. And then I'm like, oh no, this is not right. Or yes, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I can be activated in that way. Um, but yeah, I just like you were saying, like being self-taught, you learned because you don't know what you don't know sometimes,
Exactly.
right? And you can have a million degrees and have had whatever kind of certification underneath your belt, but until you get out there and you actually apply it, you literally you don't know.
Yeah. And that's what I don't like about the job market is because you can have this degree, that degree, that degree, but you have a plethora of experience and you know exactly what to do. You can do it with your eyes closed and hands tied behind your back, and still yet is like, oh no, you don't have a degree. Or you have a whole bunch of experience and you don't have a degree, and it's like, oh, this, da, 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 da. It's just so many aspects to it.
Hmm.
Because I know I tried to apply for a couple of positions that I was perfect for. Like, I could do it in my sleep. And they're like, oh no, you don't have a degree. So it's crazy.
It's so unfair too. And I know I'm a millennial, so we were raised like, you got to work
Yeah.
hard, get good grades, go get a degree, and
So much could be said about that.
so much.
Well,
And
I've always had an entrepreneur spirit. I knew that I didn't want to work for other people because I did corporate America for like 20, 25 years.
yeah,
And what I did was when entrepreneur spirit started hitting me even more and deeper, like I would take front desk receptionist positions because they were easy and simple, and I would just work my business.
yeah.
So I looked at the corporations at my as my investors
Hmm.
while I ran my business on the
Brilliant.
job because it was nothing to do.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That is so brilliant. Okay, I know I can get off topic, but I want to
Same.
really focus because I know that you are so brilliant, and I want to extract as much as I can from you without like overstepping, right? So,
You're
what
good.
would you encourage someone, an entrepreneur, a soulpreneur who is trying to, I guess, get a grasp for their story? What's the first thing that you would recommend that they do, or the first few things that you would recommend for them to do?
I would ask them to ask themselves what sets me apart from everyone else in my industry.
Hmm.
What can I do within my gifts that are not being done, and how does that align with my story? That's what I would ask. So, like for me, branding and storytelling, I actually started storytelling within the fashion industry, helping the women, empower, encourage, yada yada yada. And so, for me, sharing that because I was a plus size model. I went to the casting call, so I know exactly what it is where you're feeling discouraged or disappointed or heartbroken. And then you start questioning your size and you start questioning if you're good enough and so on and so forth. So for them to really, really reflect on the different experiences that they've been through that they would want to share with the world. So any type of anything inspirational that they feel compelled to share, tie that into whatever it is that they want to do.
Yeah, I love that. And
Hmm.
something I was thinking of as you were sharing that too, I was thinking about the evolution of my own storytelling and entrepreneurship and all of that. Is we also get to, it's not always about pain points in our story. Like we also get
Hmm.
to focus on the good and celebrate the good and have those
Oh
be
yeah.
the center points too.
Hmm.
Because I know I've had clients find me when they were so deep in the trauma of their story.
Hmm.
Like they had
Hmm.
dug themselves so deep into telling that they were attracting people who weren't ready to move out of it because they were still so
Yeah.
deep into it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you really have to pull yourself up with what it is that you're talking about and sharing with your
Hmm.
audience by being aware.
Yep.
'Cause
I always say when you're telling your story too, like if it's something that's not even traumatic, but just like an experience that a challenge that you've overcome.
Mhm.
And be more attached to the outcome as opposed to the story. Like, so share the story, yes, of course, because there's a beginning, a middle, and an end,
Mhm.
and focus on what it taught you. What was the method of overcoming that you applied? Like little things like that
Yeah,
to get to where you want to get to within the story.
yeah. And allowing yourself to even shift. So for me, I think when I was probably in the beginning of trying to, I guess, be more conscious about the story that I was telling, and I decided I didn't want to breathe so much life into the pain aspect of it, even though so many people
Hmm.
related to that. It's like I want to breathe life into the good stuff. I want to breathe life into what I'm creating and the possibilities and all of that. You realize that it takes a certain amount of um, bravery because you're
Yep.
transitioning how you're feeling and because you're being out on hope because some of the stuff is you're still building it, you're still fulfilling it. And there's the
Yep.
judgment of family and friends and observers and all of those things. And you really just have to decide that
Ooh,
you
been through that. Been through that.
how did you navigate that?
I had to just remember who I am and remember that I'm a very unconventional, free spirited person
Mhm.
and that my life is my life and I'm the only person that can share and tell it however I experience it. And sometimes it's not going to sit well with everyone, and that's okay because it's not my concern to be like, okay, well, let me make you feel better about something I'm talking about. So I had to learn how to do that because at one point when it came to that, I'll feel so guilty, like, oh my God. And then I'm like, but this is, if you were created a certain kind of way
Mhm.
and you have a story to tell, like, just tell the damn story. Like, don't allow people, situations, society, whatever, to make you feel as if though that your story isn't good enough to share. So I had to like really, and it's happened to me time and time again in my life.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just like, okay, well, either you listen to them or you be proud of yourself and you keep moving forward. Which one? You have to choose. You got to make a choice.
Yeah. And that's important for people, especially listeners. Like you have to make a choice or else you will continuously be right where you are, wondering,
Yeah.
spinning all of your wheels, probably in frustration. I would assume you're like cycling through frustration and fear and
Hmm.
insecurities, self-sabotage and everything else, but you have to decide, commit, and move through it because people will celebrate you. Once you start celebrating yourself and other people, strangers come along and they start celebrating you, suddenly a lot of friends or family or acquaintances who have been watching but kind of judging or whatnot,
Hmm.
suddenly they're supporters of you too, and suddenly they know you online, and suddenly they're supporting you in circles and things like that too.
Yeah. I used to tell people I have a PhD in being judged.
I'm not sure any of us want it, but I mean, that's a skill. It's a skill to learn how to navigate.
Hmm.
other people and being seen, because truthfully, that's what it is, being seen and being heard,
Mm-hmm.
especially in a society where most of the time certain groups of people are like, I don't want to see you, I don't want to hear you. You're not relevant to me unless I need you.
Yeah. And I think to the human side of us, we want the validation and acceptance and approval,
Yeah.
right? And then we forget about our own validation, acceptance, and approval of ourselves and what that looks like to us. And that's first and foremost out of everything and everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you get to a point where you're like, okay, well, I feel good enough about my story. I feel good enough about how I want to share it.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's what all that should be the only thing that matters at that point in time.
Yeah.
And I always tell my clients, I'm like, yo, your story might not sit well with everybody, and that's okay. But if you've come to a point where you have emotional, mental, spiritual freedom, and you are allowed, you give yourself the permission to release whatever you've been holding on to for years and years and years, and you put it to the forefront, and you're brave enough to be that vulnerable, then that in itself is the gift.
Yeah. It really is.
Because how many people walk on the earth, spiritual beings having a human experience, and they have so much stuff within them, and they transition into, I guess, the next lifetime, and they're full of regret, full of shame, full of hurt, full of pain, full of all of that, and
Mm-hmm.
they've never been able to give themselves the opportunity to experience love at its finest, be it self-love, self-love with other people, I mean, love with other people, whatever the case may be, and they don't get that.
And true, like, I don't know if this is true for you or not as well, but I've learned going through the various stages of just womanhood, like going through womanhood, going through motherhood, going through my transition from active duty army to civilian to entrepreneur and all these other phases, that it's really like a crash course in self-love, self-care, and personal
Mm-hmm.
development, professional development. And so allowing yourself to be open enough to do it, like you just rip off the
Mm-hmm.
band-aid and like let some of it happen, let it heal, take the bumps and be authentic along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I just did a 4 hour past life regression session, and it blew me away because I mean, and I was ready and open to do it and learn. And the amount of things that I was able to discover about myself, I was able to be on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And it was such a game changer for me because it helped me to realize the good things about myself and the
Yeah.
not so good things about myself, the things that I still need to work on, patterns, behaviors, cycles, things like that, that I wasn't even paying attention to that other people saw outside.
Yeah.
And so now I'm on the outside looking in. Now I'm able to kind of like fix those things, make changes and tweaks and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And so, back to what you're saying about learning and being able to just like, internalize the self of what you look like to you.
Yeah. And I have learned with my clients, and I think that when I'm helping my clients, I'm a teacher, right? Like I'm guiding them, but I'm also learning. I
Yep.
never shut myself off to learning. I call myself a student of life for a reason. But some of that is really hard for certain people at certain stages to
Yep.
do, to look at
Mm-hmm.
themselves when they've been avoiding it. They've been avoiding telling
Mm-hmm.
their story because it requires them to look at themselves. And so they're telling this surface level stuff, or this, there's what's called a avatar, right? For the listeners, you probably have heard of
Yeah.
it. What's your client avatar? And it's probably more about like what you're going to target on Facebook ads or something, because it's like their age, their gender, their
Yeah.
what they like, right? But really, to dig deeper into that story, you have to look at yourself. You have to allow
Mm-hmm.
yourself to really, it's almost like therapy with yourself when you become an
Yep.
entrepreneur, because you have to get real with yourself and surround yourself with people who are real, or else you're going to continuously have to rebuild and rebuild and rebuild,
Yep.
because you keep building a crumbling foundation, and you'll get success really fast and then it'll all crumble. Or maybe you never find success because you
Yep.
won't refuse to look at yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Agreed.
Yeah. Have you noticed with anyone that you've worked with or throughout your own, excuse me, my allergies kicked my butt. I feel it in my throat.
Me too, girl. Over here, like,
But have you noticed with the either the folks that you're currently working with or through your own journey that that has kind of been a
yep,
cycle as well?
for me, it was been a cycle for me where, and it's pretty much because, like I said, I'm just like, well, I call myself a unicorn for sure, but I've always had these innovative different ideas. Oh, let me do this, I'm gonna do that, da, 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 da. And
Yeah.
sometimes I have to catch myself like just one thing at a time,
Yeah.
one idea at a time, one thing at a time. And so I understand that, and I understand what you're saying about instant success and then going back to the drawing board, instant success and going back to the drawing board. I've been through all of that. I experienced that to a T. So I know exactly what that feels like. And I do have a client that's like that, and she's trying to figure out where she is on her journey personally and spiritually and so on and so forth before she wants to move forward to do anything when it comes to working with other people. And I told her that's admirable. We can work on that
Yeah.
because I want you to have a clear identity, brand identity of who you are and how
Mhm.
you want to help people, and what does that messaging look like. So let's work on that together. Because
Yeah.
when I start working with a client, it's not business first, it's more personal. Like, who are you and who are you to your core? Like, what have you experienced and why do you want to do the work that you want to do? Why do you want to work with these specific people?
Yeah.
And dig deeper into it. And then we get into the branding.
I think that that's a wonderful way to work with people too. People first, right?
Yep, for sure. Because, I mean, sometimes people don't even know exactly what it is that they're looking for until you give them like a different perspective where you're like, okay, did you mean this way? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Because they don't know how to articulate it. And I've been through that myself where I'm trying to articulate it. And they're like, did you mean this way? I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I meant.
And I just want to emphasize this is where community and having a mentor and having a coach comes in
Mm-hmm.
like something you would not believe because again, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
Having that outside perspective, having that outside support, it's so valuable. Like you
it
can't put a
is.
price tag on it because like you said, you have those outside eyes and outside ears to kind of redirect you and get you back on the path of where you're going so you're not on that
Yeah,
hamster wheel and you can
yeah,
actually move forward.
yeah. I'm actually in a program right now creating a different type of signature program because I'm definitely one of those people, like I said before, very much a unicorn, very much a creative. And it's just like this, 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 this. So I needed structure and I needed something that was a little different that would actually solidify all the things that I'm doing.
Mhm.
So now when you ask me, what do I do? I'm able to just be like, da, 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 and it's clear, it's concise. You know exactly who I am, what I do, how I help people, in which ways I help them, and what's the benefit of working with me.
Yeah.
It's all there.
And a lot of times when people, clients, potential buyers are finding us, they're looking at that transformation. Like what transformation does this person, does this business program, et cetera, what does it provide me? Right?
Right.
It's really it's not about us as the provider, but it's about the reader, the person that's
Yeah.
going to be working with us. They're asking, what is this doing for me? So
Yeah.
incorporating that chunk into your story and your brand and all of that is really, I think it's great.
Yeah. Because it's like when you're on social media, like say for instance, your stuff, I already know you're a coach, healer that works with people who are ready to have their transformational journey because it's in your language. It's
Mhm.
in the story, it's in the pictures, it's in everything.
Mhm. I
But
try.
if you're someone who, you do a good job. But then if someone is just like all over the place, they don't know what they're doing, this the next day, like, well, what do you do? Exactly what that is. So when I work with people, I want to make sure that their website, social media, blog, whatever it is, aligns with who they are and aligns with their story. And it segues into the professional part of what they're doing.
Yeah. And for me, I have commitment issues sometimes when it comes to when it comes to certain things in my business. And so I often have to remind myself like it's not written in permanent ink. When you're an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur, a lot of stuff gets to be fluid, which is the fun part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're listening to this and you're panicking because you're like, well, I don't know what to call myself, I don't know what to do, play around with it and have some fun. See what sticks, like throwing spaghetti on the wall, see what sticks. And like if it feels good, keep it. If it doesn't feel good, don't keep it. If it doesn't resonate, don't keep it,
Yeah,
right? It's
that's
a
the beauty of this. That's the beauty of it. You can always go back to the damn drawing board.
yeah. And really like allow yourself to be empowered as the entrepreneur, healer, business person that you are. I think that
Yeah,
that's so important. Um, but
absolutely.
you had mentioned you're also in a class and you're running your business, and you have a class that you're or a master class that you're about to run too. So how do you balance running all of this and helping your clients and all of the things?
Child, one day at a time.
One
One day
day
at
at
a
a
time.
time.
Because even with my workshop that I'm doing too, it's just like, okay, well, I know this is what I wanted to say. This is what I want to talk about. This is all the information I want to give you. Da 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 da. And sometimes some people are with it and some people are not. And sometimes some people are ready and some people are not.
Mhm,
So you can create workshops, masterminds, and all this other kind of stuff. And sometimes people will show up and sometimes people won't. And
mhm.
that's the luck of the draw. So it's always going back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't work, I can just reschedule it, cancel it, push it back, and just figure out, okay, like what was the disconnect
Mhm.
while I'm still doing the other things that I'm doing.
And I love that you said that because I can't tell you how many times I have incredible clients come to me, but they're afraid to be seen trying
Hmm.
and then having to rework it. And I get it. Like I get it. We don't want to look silly or we don't want to be sharing a story or being vulnerable and then feel rejected, but that's a part of it,
It
right?
is. It
So
is
how do
definitely a part of it.
how do you
Um, I just remember the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing
Mhm,
because my spirit won't allow me to um not continue on this path and this journey. It's my journey, it's my path. And so I just be like, okay, well, it didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. There's probably a reason why. And I just let it go and surrender to it because it's out of my control at that point. So it's learning what to give energy to that's in your control and learning how to surrender to what is not.
mhm. And I think that circles back to what we were talking about earlier too, because you have to know to do that. You have to know yourself well enough
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah. Hmm. It took me a while to do it because if I did a workshop or a program or something and I get no hits, no bites, no nothing, no sales, I'll beat myself up like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Is the
Yeah,
copy okay? Is this okay? Is da, 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 da. And I would just go a whole frenzy, stress myself out, have a panic attack, and just be like, the hell am I having a panic attack for? I could just start over.
yeah.
But it took me a while to get there.
In order to get there, do you feel it was just trial and error or it was the action, like getting through it, right? Because I know sometimes it's sitting in reflection, right? Like we have to reflect on stuff, but or was it just
Hmm.
that piece or was it the actual action? Sometimes like jumping out of an airplane, I've literally done that in the army, like jumping out of the plane. Like I had to do certain things, but like not think about it until I was in motion. Does that make sense? Like I
Yeah, it
would jump
makes
out of
sense.
the airplane and then when my chute opened, I'd be like, Kendra, what the hell are you doing? Like, why do
Yeah,
you do this? And I'd be like, oh, look at how
yeah,
beautiful it is. Look at how amazing this is. Okay.
right.
Um,
It could be both. It could be just jumping out of it and not really sitting and reflecting on what this is and if the timing is right or if this right or is that right, but I'm a firm believer there's no wrong or right way about doing anything.
yeah.
And I'm a person, when I feel compelled to do something, I do it. If I don't feel compelled to do it, I ain't doing it.
Mhm.
Because, huh?
That's important.
Yeah. And oftentimes, even if it doesn't come out right, there's a lesson to be learned in it.
Mhm. I agree with you on that 1000%.
Mhm.
And there are so many people who they're like, I have this feeling. I know that there's more. I know that there's something else.
Yes.
I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. And then they just sit with it. And it's like, you have to move into something. You don't have to do the first move doesn't have to be the right move. It
Right.
just has to
As long as
shift
you're
that
doing something.
energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
And then trust what comes up. I know a lot of my like I feel like I was fumbling my steps, like about to fall flat on my face when I was starting out. just trying, just trying, just
Yeah.
trying. And I started to be more aware because then certain people were placed in my path. And I was like, that sparks an interest, or that taught me something, or that guided me to something that I needed or that I wanted. And
Mhm.
it allows you to kind of be more aware about just your surroundings too, and it kind of guides you. And then
Mhm.
you can build that trust with your gut, build that trust with your intuition, so that
Mhm.
as you're evolving, you can evolve in the direction that you want to intentionally.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, I love it.
And sometimes it's being in the wrong area
Yes.
at the wrong time for you to just be like, "Oh shit, this don't feel right." But sitting with it and just being like, "Okay, let me just go through it
Yep.
and see what happens because I'm being placed here for a reason.
Yep.
I'm being placed here for a reason." So when I'm helping them with the marketing and the branding and the storytelling, sometimes they're at the wrong place at the wrong time. And it's like, okay, let's utilize this. This is an opportunity. Let's utilize the opportunity, and something beautiful comes out of it.
Because you can learn what you don't like. You can
Yeah.
learn what you don't want. I had
Mm-hmm.
so when I first joined the military, Sergeant First Class Robinson, he I used to get in trouble a lot as a private. Like I was really fit because I was always doing push-ups because I was always getting fussed at. And Sergeant First Class Robinson pulled me aside because we would have to do counseling and stuff. And he was like, if you think someone is a poor leader or doing something poorly, you can still learn from them. You can learn
Mm-hmm.
who you want to be, who you don't want to be, how you want to lead, how you don't want to lead. Give
Mm-hmm.
yourself an opportunity to observe, right?
Yeah.
And I think he kind of calmed. He put a little bit of water on my ego because I was like 20 years old. I was hot headed. I thought I knew everything and just trying to like guns blazing, like right, let's do this. But that wisdom has carried forward with me because even when I find myself in situations or in classes or in things where I'm like, this is kind of annoying or obnoxious, what can I learn from it? I can
Yeah.
learn that I don't like how they're running this class. I don't like how they're doing this. And so I won't implement it because now I know better. Right.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Agreed.
Hmm.
Completely agree 100%. I mean, that's certain it's aspects of my life that's going on right now where
Yeah.
I know that this is not it. I know that that's it.
Yeah.
So what is the plan from A to Z to get from here to there? Like, what does that look like? And how am I going to do it?
And sometimes it's not even knowing A to Z, it's just knowing A to B. And then
Yeah.
C is going to reveal itself to you as soon as you
Yeah.
take that leap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think more on the spiritual end of things, I'm going to kind of like veer off a little bit. I know that I think every single human can find an experience that is similar, where they finally shifted themselves into motion and then they find a moment of relief or reprieve because then they
Mm-hmm.
see that next step comes so easily, or someone comes into their life and they're open to receive what that person has to say or share with them.
Yeah.
And knowing that, I also use that in how I share my brand, my company, right, the
Mm-hmm.
transformations that I provide, because it's a lesson that I learned that I can say, hey, my people would relate to this. My people probably have been in this position where maybe they were a little closed off because of their environment or because they were afraid to be seen in this way. But if they take this step and then everything opens, then we can start
Yep.
talking about being open minded and spiritually in tune with yourself, with whatever it is that you believe in. And that will strengthen you as you show up authentically, as you show up and either share your story or share your brand, start selling, which is a really big one for
Yeah.
people.
Mm-hmm. This is
So,
true. I think when it comes to the selling portion of it, like I never have to sell myself in that way. It's just having a conversation and asking questions. And based on the questions, I would just be like, well, I can offer you this solution, or maybe we can spin it this way, or however it is.
mhm,
And then it's like, okay, cool. Like, what's the price? What do you charge? Da 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 da. So I never have to sell at all. I just have to and I always tell people that just be you
mhm.
and talk about what you can offer, give them a different perspective. And listen to what they say, and then you'll get the little nits, bits, and pieces of exactly what it is that they truly need, and then you can offer that service that way.
Absolutely.
Because everyone that I work with, everything is tailored to their needs. It's
Hmm.
not cookie cutter.
Yeah.
You gotta, you know, provide a service that is, uh, for me, it's unconventional, it's authentic, it's extraordinary, it's different because everyone's different from everyone else. So it's
Yeah.
trying to figure out what sets them apart and how you can help them achieve that goal.
Yeah. That's, I love that. Because I know people love to have that personalized offering. I think I struggled when I transitioned and I was trying to not put my story like on my website or anything like that, but post the offers in a way, excuse me, in a way that explained the transformation that they could get without
Yeah.
limiting it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I don't know if anyone else relates to this, but I love words. I have a bachelor's degree in English and creative writing. Like I love language. I love it. I love it. But something I have always been told, or been told probably as an early, a young adult on, is that I'm too wordy. And so,
Same.
and so this fear came up. Like, am I telling the story the way that it needs to be in text?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can relate to people on a call. I can relate to people on live, and I would do live group calls or live master classes, and then I would be honest and say, "Hey, at the end of this, I'm going to offer a program. So if you want to know about it, stay." And then like I would do the that part at the end, and I would let them know what was going on with the program and things like that. But there was something so crippling for me initially, oh my gosh, about putting it in text and saying, am I saying enough? Because I really want to say this. And then am I saying too much? And just like that back and forth
Yeah.
of that belief that had been planted in my mind that, I'm
Yeah.
too wordy.
Yeah. I'm too wordy. My my marketing content is too long because the same thing. You want to make sure that you like, this is what I'm doing, this is who I am, da 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 da. So I've learned to kind of like break it down a little bit so it's concise
Yeah.
because people have a short attention span, unfortunately,
Yeah.
and nobody wants to likes to read. So I find myself sometimes just doing short snippet videos to just share exactly who I am and what I do, and do it that way. Because in the world of technology, everything is reels, videos, TikTok, YouTube, blah 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 blah. And some
Instant
days I'm
gratification.
that. So some days I'm over it, and some days I'm like, okay, you know what this is, gotta do. So
Yeah.
I get it.
I was looking at what's her name, Tanner Adele. She was on
Mm-hmm.
Beyonce's new album, and I was looking at like the content from that business owner type of mind, right? And she is
Mm-hmm.
an independent artist, so everything she does, she pays for basically. Um, and I was looking at how she produces and she reuses certain things and all of that, and I'm like, I personally don't have the capacity to do so many videos, right? Like I don't want to be on video that much in that way. But I love the way she's telling her story and she's sharing what she loves.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just waiting for that moment to kind of be launched out there, right? And Beyonce did
Mm-hmm.
that for her, obviously. And I was thinking of that as an example because I often will find myself wanting to be a student, right? So I'm looking at how people are finding different layers of success and asking, does this feel good or does this feel right?
Yeah.
And I do realize that I'm also the type of person who I will be like, oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to do this. Da, da, da. And then I get to the place I'm going or I'm doing the thing and then I love it and I'm having fun. So
Right.
self-awareness, right?
So I feel like sometimes I'm so damn self-aware. I'm like, all right, shut down the self-aware meter for 5 minutes.
Just give me a moment. Let me reset.
Yes,
Yeah.
seriously.
But I brought that up just because I want people who are listening to know like we're always continuously learning. It's not
Yes.
a period, right? Like you're not
Yeah.
final, you're not done always, and it's always going to work in the day and age that we're in. So
Yeah. It's just like when people be like, "Oh, you have to be fully healed." I'm like, "There's always going to be some type of stuff that's going to pop up."
Yeah.
So that fully healed terminology, I'm like, no, that's a false narrative because there's always something to grow from, to heal from, to change, transform, transition. There's always going to be something. It's never a one and done.
Yeah,
Life is not a one and done.
I agree. And I sound like you because I've said that before too. I agree. I agree with you 1,000%. There's no
Mm-hmm.
way it can be. And even with reflecting on, so in the Akashic Records, we can also do what's called a positive life review. So
Yeah.
past life regression is one way that you can do that, but also parallel lives, because some people are of the belief, I know not everyone, that time just exists here. Like the universe doesn't have our clock, right? Things are completely different.
Right.
If there's parallel lives, you could be living a parallel life that is completely abundant and glowing and amazing. And you can have that review of that life and bring forward the traits that that brings, because perhaps you need more confidence. So having that life review will give you a different perspective, or a perspective shift
Right.
needed.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why I have commitment issues. Like I said before, it's just like there's so much opportunity. Like there's nothing that is happening right now that can't be changed. Sure, it may take some time, but it
Mm-hmm.
can be changed. It can be altered. And
True.
breathing life into the goodness, breathing life into the hope, breathing life into the stories that encourage you and empower you to show up
Mm-hmm.
excited, motivated to share your business, to share your transformation with your people. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, it's okay to do that.
Yeah. I encourage it because I feel like sometimes when you are an entrepreneur, healer, whatever it is that you call yourself, there's a huge misconception because you're an entrepreneur and you're doing the type of work that you're doing, that
Mhm.
you have it all together, that you're
Not at
fully
all.
healed, that your life is perfect. And I'm like, my life sometimes ain't shit. What are you talking about?
Hot mess express over here.
Hot Mess Express, right? And so I like to give, the both sides of it, not just the one side, but the both sides of it, because I don't think that it's right or fair that people are on social media like, look at me, look at my business, da, da, da. But then on the flip side about it, your business is not doing well at the moment because our businesses go through seasons.
Yeah,
So talk about the seasons that you're going through, because you
yeah,
never know. You might get a client that right at that point in time,
yeah,
as opposed to like showing specific things that you're not showing. Because I know oftentimes in like network marketing world or marketing world or something, they would show something that is not true, which is a facade because you want to make people believe that this is happening or that is happening.
yeah,
The one thing I've seen before was, like, say for instance, you're part of a marketing team or MLM or network marketing, whatever, and then the higher up would actually take a screenshot of the amount of money that they've made or whatever, and then they'll tell you to go and they'll post it to make believe that that's the amount of your money, the money that you've made
yeah,
over a period of time to draw in people. It's false narrative. It's not right and it's not real.
yeah.
And
You know,
so for entrepreneurs, I mean, we have moments where we'll have like $10,000 in our bank account.
mhm,
Sometimes we'll have five. Sometimes
yeah,
we'll have 300.
yeah,
Sometimes we'll have 3,000. Like, and it varies. There's no set way. You can have as much money as you want to make or have, but then you have to factor in the bills, to this, to that, to that, to that everyday thing.
yeah,
And I posted the other day, and I think that you responded to it about entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart.
yeah,
You are the safety net. No one's gonna come save you,
yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
stuff. So
It's
it's
true.
it's
And
crazy.
you have to be really, like, your discernment has to really be on point, because I know I've talked
Mm,
about it in the past about how sometimes you see the marketing and it aligns with you, but then you
yep.
meet the person, the coach, the mentor, the course, the program, and you're like, what is this bull crap? This isn't
Right.
align- this isn't it. This is horrible. And I feel like I just made a horrible purchase. And then
Yep.
I've been in spaces where, like, learning spaces for mentors, for coaches, for people, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing people post that they're making X amount of dollars, but then they're not being truthful, because in this group, in this community, they're sharing how they have $10,000 of credit card debt because they just ran to ads, or one lady was $100,000 in debt. But then on her page, when I was snooping on her page, she was posting how she just had a $50,000 month. like there's so much that
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
try
you
to,
don't know the story. Again, you don't know if it's a real story, if it's a fake story.
yeah. And I had someone say you could be whoever you want online. And so you have to remember that because you
Oh,
can be
wow.
whoever you want online.
Let me sit with that for a moment. That is so, can I cuss?
Go ahead.
That is so fucking deep. You can be whoever you want online. Damn.
Yep. You could
That's
be
crazy.
anyone you want online.
Wow. That's so profound and deep because it really, really speaks volumes on who people are not
Mm,
online. That is bananas.
yes.
That you just blew my mind with that. I just wow. I didn't even think about that. I didn't think about it.
Yeah. It's so
Mm.
true. And like I call it perfect Patty or like Instagram perfect.
Yeah.
Like, don't allow those spaces to make you think that there's not a space for you. And if you feel like there's not a space for you, then go create a space for you and the people like you, because there's people waiting in quiet desperation for it, right?
Hmm.
But really allow yourself to show up and be who you are. Like, people are
Yeah.
going to always have something to say, whether it's good or bad. It doesn't matter if it's really who you are, it's really not who you are, it's who you're becoming, or maybe it's just a facade and a mask and a persona, whatever. People are
Yeah.
always going to have something to say. So why not feel good about it in the process? Why not do
Yeah.
something that is fulfilling to you, to your legacy? That's something that's been coming up for me a lot lately too. I don't know about you, but legacy
Yeah.
been coming up a lot. And just how am I imparting something positive on this world? Like when I leave this
Yes.
world, what is my imprint? What is my footprint saying?
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, I don't know. You probably know who Lisa Nichols is.
Mhm, of course.
So she has a video on YouTube. It's called You Are Enough. And
Yeah.
she talks about the same thing, like what legacy are you leaving on the planet? Like when you look at the edge of life, are you doing everything that you want to do? And sometimes in life, you have to say something that you've never said before. You gotta, think like you've never done before. You have to act and live like you've never done before. With anything that crosses your path. And there's moments in time when I'm feeling discouraged or depressed or like there's some fuck shit. I don't know what the hell's going on today. I'll just play that and just listen to it on repeat because it's real. It's so real.
Yeah. I'm gonna go listen to that one. I may have already listened to that one. When
I'll
I
send it to you. I'll send it to you.
okay. I love her storytelling, and she's what really kind of inspired me to kind of like pivot in my storytelling. You know how she started out and she would tell the story about holding like she didn't have Pampers for her son, and she like
Hmm.
was holding her son. That story was like, if she can do this,
Yeah.
and she's
Like,
amazing,
what's my
right?
excuse? And what's my
What's my
excuse?
excuse for, right? Like, I can try.
Yeah.
I can try. It's going to be okay. I can try. And just like listening to people. And that's the importance again of storytelling. She's a
Yes.
storyteller,
Hmm.
a fantastic storyteller. I have a
Yes.
playlist of some of her old videos. I haven't updated it in forever, but like you, listening to people who are really good at
Hmm.
sparking something within us, or
Hmm.
reminding us of where we need to be or where we're going,
Hmm.
important. And we get to be that. Like the
Hmm.
listener of this podcast gets to be that as they figure out their brand story and they figure out the
Yeah.
transformation that they provide, and they figure out how their products or their modalities of whatever it is that they do
Yeah.
help their people.
Well, and they have to remember too, guys, got to remember too that each product that you create and
Mhm.
each service that you provide has a story within it. Like
Mm.
what prompted you to want to say, okay, I want to offer a 4-week transformational package. Where did that come from? And how did you decide what part of your life you want to share that transformational package with? Or for me, I do bracelets,
Mhm.
transformational empowerment bracelets. And it came from me wanting to just like help women to feel empowered, even waist beads. I make waist beads. I want women to feel empowered. I don't give a shit about you losing weight. Don't do it to lose weight. Do it because you feel empowered enough that you are happy and perfect within your own skin. As I'm happy and perfect within my skin, should I lose a couple pounds? Yeah. Do I choose to? Yes. because I'm getting older. But my waist beads is to remind me of how empowering I am as a woman, how I'm a goddess, queen, empress, da 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 da. And so when I make waist beads, that's what I make it for. And I did it for myself because I was a point where I was going through some stuff and I just felt like my body wasn't what it's supposed to be and da 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 da. And so I'm like, let me just make a couple waist beads. I think they're cute and sexy. And when I look at myself in the mirror and I'm naked, I'm like, girl, look at your waist beads. You fine, stuff like that.
Okay.
So tell the story of the product and the service. Like, why did you want to do this candle? What were you going through when you decided, okay, I want to make a candle and then end up selling the candle? Like, what's the story behind the candle? What's the story behind anything? Like, why do you do one-on-one coaching services or how you provide coaching? Like, in which way you provide it? There's a story behind that. So it always goes back to story, and people want to know the behind the scenes, if you will, of why you do what you do. This product, this service, this, that, da, da, da.
I need to do that more. I think I did that more in the beginning with mindlessly, like,
Yes.
right? But you
Mm-hmm.
planted this in my heart. Like I'm gonna get better at this because it is important to tell that story too.
Mm-hmm. Because I remember I used to do candles, body oil, spiritual candles, body oils, lotions, whatever the case may be, bracelets and so on and so forth. And I did it because I wanted people to feel spiritually empowered. I
Yeah.
wanted them to be connected with their mind, heart, body, and spirit. And so I would call on the spirit guides and bring them in and just like flow through me when I'm doing these products and calling on their spirit guides to flow through me when I'm doing their products so they can feel connected, they can feel protected, they can have like energy going through them when they're wearing it.
Yeah.
And I started doing it for myself and I saw that it made a difference in my life and it helped me to be more connected and feel close to my spirit guide. That's why I started doing it. So that's the story behind the reason why you do stuff that you do. So you tell the story and people are like, well, shit, I want that.
That's truly how it is too, because they want to know how can this help me when they see what it's done for you or they hear your story. Like, well, could that work for me too? Or I've been curious about that. I wonder if that could work
Right.
for me too.
Hmm.
You're absolutely right.
So everything you do, make sure there's a story behind it so people can get an idea because it's not like, oh, I just sell this product. Okay, that's cool, but what's special about the product? Is someone else selling the same product as you? What makes yours different from them?
Yeah.
And we are in a fast-paced world, so if Kim Kardashians are wearing a specific bag, everyone's gonna go running to buy that damn bag because she's wearing the bag.
Mhm.
But because of the society that we live in, people, society's so brainwashed. If you're having the same item or something to that effect or something similar, and your reasoning behind it is because you want to help heal the world, humanity, da 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 da, you have to like go into detail of what that thing is in
Mhm.
order for people to like for you to like really, and this is what I love about storytelling and branding. Story is captivating and piercing through the hearts and spirits of the people that are looking that want to experience that. That's what it is for me, captivating it.
Yeah. And what's running through my mind as you're saying all of that is when we are able to captivate, when we're able to draw people to us and be honest. And it's different because, when I think of Kardashian, like just as a
Hmm.
brand, I don't trust that brand just
I don't
because
either.
I've never bought anything from them, but like I've just seen all of these examples about how they do business and just, billionaires typically aren't ethical and things like that. So for me and my
Hmm.
consumer self, I love to be able to spend a couple extra seconds to hear someone say, this is my story. This is why you should support me instead.
Yeah.
Sure, there's a possibility that maybe they're a shitty person too. Okay.
Hmm.
All right, support a small business instead. You live and you learn, right? But
Yep.
there's also a possibility that you just help someone pay their light bill that month or keep
Yeah.
their business running for another month or inspire them to take that next step to dream even bigger for themselves and their business.
Yes. Exactly. And I think if we as entrepreneurs and business owners, I'm not going to say small business owners, but business owners, if we were able to connect with each other and support each other in that way and patronize each other in that way and build a more authentic community
Mhm.
instead of that crabs in a barrel mentality, we would be so far off than what we are right now.
Yeah.
So far off. And like you were just mentioning earlier about the woman with the, having 50K months or 10K months and so on and so forth. Sometimes I feel like it's a crock of bullshit,
Mhm.
but that's just me because it's just like, let me see the day, let me get a glimpse of the day in your life and what that looks like to you.
Yeah.
Just a glimpse. And I guarantee it is not what you're saying it is. For the most part, most people get it. They might be in that area of bracket of when it comes to financial freedom, but they probably have took them a while to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And they had support. I think what was hard for me, and I can say in the very beginning, I was probably a hater or bitter or whatever you want to say, because I would get
Mm-hmm.
upset. Like, how are you trying to make it seem like you did all this on your own when you have a husband or a partner or a girlfriend or a wife who's helping to support you behind
Yes.
the scenes? And I'm over
I
here
was
doing it all by myself as a single mom with no
girl,
daycare, my toddler, and all these other
girl.
things, right? Like,
I
um,
just had the same thought process with myself the other day because I know certain people and they're wonderful at what they do, but
yeah,
I don't think that they could stand alone doing it because of the fact they do have spouses that have full-time jobs where they're able to, like, help them pay the rent and the bills and da 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 da. And when
yeah,
you're doing it by yourself, it's like a different beast. It's a different monster. And a lot of people sometimes, girl, you don't, mm-mm. No, that don't make no damn sense to me. So I totally understand it. I just had that thought process with myself yesterday. Like, how they, oh, okay, because her husband or her wife or her partner, spouse, whatever, they're the ones that also has the corporate job or whatever job that they have that's
yeah,
consistent income coming in. So on the days or the seasons where your business is just like not fulfilling or the clients are not coming in, you still have something to stand on. But a person that, like, for me and maybe you, that's doing it on our own by ourselves, it's a different thing.
totally different,
It's a
completely
completely
different.
different thing. And
Like,
so it's like you can't lie about this type of stuff. It is what it is.
yep. And it's really important to me to be transparent in those ways too, because then you have people who are new, who don't know, who are comparing their journey to someone else's journey for some reason, and they don't understand the difference. And I love that the conversations are opening up. I've seen them on TikTok. I recently learned what a trad wife is, traditional wife, trad wife. I didn't know that
Oh
that was a thing.
wow, what's a trad wife? Educate me,
A
please. I want to
traditional
know.
wife who's like a homemaker and she stays home and like cooks and cleans,
Oh,
does laundry and like all of that. And there's
mm-hmm.
some really big influencers with huge accounts that are trad wives, but the conversation is shifting about if she divorces her husband, she still has her account and her income, even though
Yeah,
she's a stay-at-home mom and she has all of these brand deals. You, my dear, do not, right? Like you're not there yet, or you're not at that
right.
position,
Yeah,
but they're selling this dream of you can do this too and you should, and be totally reliant on one person, which I'm against. And even my grandmother, as a little girl, I remember my grandmother saying don't ever 100% depend on anyone, right?
yeah.
Depression grandmas or something else, but you
Tell
know
me about it.
um but just all of those things, and the conversation kind of shifted, and I love that it shifted because it gives people who don't know what they don't know
Yeah,
an opportunity to explore the truth, because if they are already being funded behind the scenes, being supported, like if they need help with freelancers or with their partner just doing content or an expertise for marketing, branding, whatever it is behind the scenes, like they have that income, they have that support, they have that community to do it. But not every entrepreneur does. Some
nope.
entrepreneurs come from a place of need, come from a place of here's the problem and I'm looking for the solution, and suddenly I'm an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like see a need, fill a need. What's that cartoon movie that was like that? The Robinsons or Robots or something like that? Oh
Mm-hmm. Oh, the
no,
Jetsons.
something like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah. It's a world that's very finicky and funny, and a world of facade, and you have to, like you said, use a discernment from what's true from what's not,
yeah, and be
you
honest.
know?
Like I want people around me to be honest. So that's
Yeah.
my. I'm talking about it. I'm putting the flashlight on it, but I want y'all to be honest. I'm honest, even when it's uncomfortable. I'm honest, even when it's an overshare, according to some of my family. Like I'm
Yeah,
honest, but that is my truth, and that is how I connect with people, and that is what my clients have appreciated up to this point. So
seriously. Yep. And they'll thank you for it because that shows that you have your best interest at heart. And the same thing with my clients. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you things that I feel like you want to hear. I want to be honest with you. I have your best interest at heart. And then, like I said, I'm very unconventional when it comes to coaching, when it comes to branding. I'm extremely unconventional. I am that person that if I know my client is having a hard time and we just had a session or whatever the case may be, I will hit them up 2 days later to be like, hey, you good? Yeah, right. Is anything coming up for you? Like, how can I
yeah,
support you? Da, 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 da. Stuff like that. Because I think sometimes in a coaching arena, it's like you're supposed to do this a certain kind of way or do that a certain kind of way. But I'm like, but if it doesn't work for me, and that's
mm,
not who I am as a person, if it's not in my DNA to follow in your program and how you want stuff to do, then it doesn't sit well with me.
yeah, and that will build a sort of resistance. Like I love to encourage people to try things because sometimes
Yeah,
trying it is what activates you to be great or whatever.
right.
But if you try it and you recognize, like, I gave this a full try
Yep.
wholeheartly, and
Mm-hmm.
it does not sit right with me,
Mm-hmm.
and you continue to do it, that's where those blocks start getting built,
Yeah.
right? Those guards and those blocks. And then suddenly you're like, I don't know what my story is. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my offering is because you're misaligned.
Yeah, because then you start questioning who you are.
Yes.
And when you start questioning who you are, then you guess what? You've given your power away to said program, said coach, said something else. That's not you.
And I stopped putting examples of my story in my courses and on my member portal. I
Mm-hmm.
knew that people were they loved the examples, right? I would just, this is my short example, blah blah blah. But then I started seeing my story online, and I'm like, oh ma'am, that's not how we do this. We do not copy and paste. You did not do,
Yes.
you like you know, like just allow
Yep.
yourself to try things in different ways, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to be a copy and paste of anyone.
Yeah. And
Learn
this
from
is why
people.
like I do the branding and the storytelling the way that I do it for my clients because I go with them through it and I dig deep with them to
Yeah,
try to figure out exactly how do you want to position the story when you're sharing the story because just like you said, the plagiarism is real.
yeah.
So if they're if I'm helping them craft a story that's so rich and magical and authentic, you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? It's just like that's your staple, that's your signature.
Yeah.
And even though people might want to copy it, you can't copy an original piece that's just so compelling. And that's what I love about when I'm helping my clients with just their brand story and messaging. It's so unconventional. It's so like just it's just something
Secret
that's
sauce.
like, yep, girl, that part.
Secret sauce. Secret sauce. Yep.
Yep. So yeah. And it's fun. I love what I do. You know, like I said, I go straight into like the personal part of the person, who you are, to your core, what's your story? Why are you doing this work for? Like
Yeah.
why? What does it bring you joy? Are you able to, wake up every day loving what you do that it doesn't feel like work? Like, why this? You can
Mhm.
tell me a why. We can go through all the list of like just whatever words pop up, tell me what the why is.
Yeah.
And we'll just configure it into the brand story because then it becomes your own because it's from you. You're creating it.
Yeah. And then it's easy to tell.
Yeah.
Like, not just written down on paper, but it's
Mm-hmm.
easy. Hey, why did you start your business? What prompted
Yeah.
you? How did you start your business? And it's going to evolve, but that language is going to start to flow from your tongue
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
naturally.
Because yeah, it's your language, it's your love language, it's your emotional, mental, spiritual, professional language. It is your language, how you speak, how you operate every day, how you embody, how
Mhm.
you live life, how you breathe, all of those things.
Yeah, amazing.
Thank you.
Uh, is there anything else that I didn't ask that you want to share?
No, I think that we covered pretty much everything. Pretty much everything. Like I do have the workshop coming up April 26th or 28th. It is how to craft your brand story.
Mhm.
It's 3 days. The first day is just identifying what the story is. The second day is who the target audience is, and then the third day is how to pretty much incorporate the first and second day into the branding, the marketing, the story, and just creating the messaging all together. So that's what it is. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, it's on my website, dhylesbrandcoach.com. It's on there. And if anyone's interested in having like a brand identity audit, I have a free brand identity audit where I send you the form and I ask you specific questions. And out of those questions, I look at your social media to make sure who you are, your authentic, beautiful unicorn self, your love language is in your website and social media. If it's not there, then I'll just give you little suggestions on how to incorporate all those things. So when
Mhm.
people go to your website or your social media, they know exactly who you are and what you do and why you're doing what you're doing.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put in the description for the listeners. I'm gonna put in the description all of the contact links and all of the things so that you can get
Mm-hmm.
and I just want to say thank you for coming on. It's really
Oh,
been an
thank you
honor.
for having me. We'll do
Yeah,
this again. We'll do this again.
we
I could see us
will.
doing some type of mastermind or something like, and just being really raw with it. Like, look, you people now.
Yes, I would love it. I would love it, especially in the Soulpreneur Life community. My intention is to do more masterminds and workshops and things of that nature again because I've taken a
Hmm.
little sabbatical to reset some things and I haven't
Yeah,
completed it. So I think that we could collab and do something and it would be great.
absolutely. Because I also come from, healing, spiritual world, and I feel like it's one of the most amazing blessings that you can actually assist another person within their spiritual transformation or getting to know who they are on a deeper level and things like that. And so I know exactly what that is and how when I went through my own transformation journey, when I went through dark night of the soul and doing all the shadow work and all the things that I still do it to this day. Because that past life regression, I was just like, what in the hell did I do? Okay. So,
Because there's integration. People forget you have to integrate. There's
yes.
integration. And then yeah, totally. I
Yeah.
get
Because I'm a person that whenever I'm feeling something, I sit with it. I don't push it aside because I used to be a person who would dissociate
it.
and compartmentalize everything and just not allow myself to feel. And I've practiced being committed to feeling what I need to feel when I'm feeling it,
Yeah,
give myself permission to release the emotions and give myself grace and compassion and ask myself the questions.
yeah,
Because that's
yeah.
important that you do so because you're not going to know unless you sit with the self.
And that's a literal masterclass in itself.
Yes,
It's
seriously.
amazing. Until I
Hmm.
remind myself and my clients too, and my daughter, who's 10,
Yeah.
about to be 11, like it's practice. We have to practice and
Hmm.
get really good at being bad at something so that we can get better, so that we can become great. So it is
Absolutely.
a practice.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I
Yes.
celebrate all the stuff that you're doing. It's amazing. I see you on social media all the time. I'm like, look at Kendra, girl. Go ahead.
All right. And to our listeners, thank you for listening today. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. And I appreciate you tuning in today. Make sure you check the descriptions for all of the information, links, and all of the goodness. And I will see you guys next time. Take care.